Hi, I'm Kevin Lee with the eMarketing Association. Most of you know me as the founder of Did It, which started off in the search marketing business, but through 11 acquisitions has become a full service firm. I also run Giving Forward, a cause marketing based nonprofit. I have the pleasure of chatting with Chat Razdan, who has a new startup that he's launched recently with regards to it's carewear, with regards to clothing specific to people with medical needs that make ordinary clothing sort of less than optimal. So I'd love to hear sort of the origin story about that and sort of how you started thinking about marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much, Kevin, for having me on. It's been impressive to watch all the great things that you've done in the industry, and excited to be here today. So my background, honestly, super relevant to the company, but goes to show that you can do whatever you set your heart out to do, I guess. I started Karen Ware 7 years ago, after having friends and family diagnosed with cancer, told to wear socks over what's called a PICC line. A PICC line is an IV tube. It goes in your arm and connects to your heart, and you use it to get intravenous nutrition or medication into the body over an elongated period of time. And so I had loved ones getting treatment through PICC lines, wearing socks on their arms, and felt, wow, this stinks. There's got to be something better. And so started working with nurses and doctors from Johns Hopkins and UVA to try and redesign the tube sock. And kind of while I was doing that, took a step back and realized whenever you go to the hospital, everything has always been focused on function and not on how it looks or how it makes you feel. And really just wanted to build a brand in the healthcare space. Because of my background as a former consultant and former investment banker, I knew that I wasn't necessarily the right person to design each and every product. And so wanted to get smart people in the room around me. And today that has become our proprietary design process, where we bring in a three-pronged approach to the design and development of each and every one of our products. So first and foremost, we are always working with clinicians on each and every product. By working with nurses and doctors, we're ensuring that our products are medically superior to everything else out there, and in turn, then able to truly differentiate ourselves. And strategically, this allows us to get unique IP on each and every product. Secondly, we're always working with end user to make sure that our products are what they want to wear. I think back to when I was a child, getting surgery in my ears, getting tubes for all the ear infections I used to get. And I remember going in the hospital and being given a patient gown that was exposing my backside. I was already terrified of getting a surgery. I was even more terrified of what might happen, and then very upset that because I wasn't a cool kid and getting my tonsils removed, I wouldn't even get ice cream at the end of the surgery. And then still was given a gown that was exposing myself to everyone beforehand. And so wanting to make sure that 7-year-old Chat and others like me are involved in the design and development process. And then finally, working with manufacturers and designers to incorporate the latest trends and technologies and designs. So over the years, we've been really fortunate to work with amazing brands like Oscar de la Renta. We are actually the first company to actually partner with March of Dimes and jointly develop a product together. And they were so proud of it that they have their logo on it as well. And then to that patient gown horror story, we actually were really fortunate enough to teach a class at Parsons School of Design focused on redesigning the patient gown. Today, we work with over 80 hospital systems and governments. We have a growing e-commerce business, and just really excited to reimagine how the world looks at and feels about healthcare.
Cool. Well, it's certainly a niche, but it's a pretty big niche because all of us have probably at some point, or we certainly all worn hospital gowns, and so that's more of a less nichey and more of a general use scenario. But when I looked at your website, it seems like a lot of the clothing is really around things like PICC lines or ports, making them simultaneously accessible while making the clothing look good. So, how do you decide sort of when to create a new line? Because obviously there are a lot of different processes and procedures that go on in hospitals. Some of them are really rare. Some of them are pretty common. What sort of drives your product roadmap?
Yeah, totally. We have a great head of product who helps kind of lead the charge there. And we have a 5-year product roadmap with kind of different products and ideas that we want to be creating. We also now have a lot of hospitals that come to us saying, hey, can we work together to create a product? And so that helps drive it. At the end of the day, we want to be assured that there's a buyer for a product before we actually bring it to market. And so starting to operationalize and starting to really do a lot of analysis even before we start to consider building a product is super important. And then to the extent that you have someone buying it ahead of creating it, that allows you to know like, wow, this is a real problem that we really need to solve. I know over the years, it's actually been just hearing from our customers. We love hearing feedback from customers. I know when I started with the PICC line cover, all of our customers, whether they were hospital nurses or patients actually wearing them, kind of talked not only about the PICC cover, but about having to go into the hospital for treatments with ports and being told to take their shirt off while they were getting chemo infused for 6 to 8 hours a day. And that sucks, right? Like not many people want to take their shirt off, especially for that long of a time. And in a room that you're oftentimes going to feel cold and chilly, et cetera. And so being able to collaborate with the end users has been super important in the product development process. And then today, we now actually have a clinical advisory board, which really helps us think about product development, both in terms of what we're working on and then formulating future products as well.
Cool. Well, it seems like because of the collaboration with clinicians and with hospitals, initially they were also your channel of distribution, but now you do allow for direct purchase by the consumer. How do you think that mix will change? Do you think do you expect sort of the direct consumer purchases to sort of become an increasing piece of your business, or is it really more when they want to replace, like they may have originally learned about it through a hospital or clinical visit and they just want to replace it?
Yeah, it's a great question, Kevin. To be honest, I look at direct-to-consumer and B2B selling to hospitals as kind of key drivers for each other. When you think about credibility and driving awareness, to your point, you might think something like a PICC line cover is very niche-y, and there's 6 million people that get a PICC line placed every year. It's growing at greater than 5%, but at the end of the day, it's still only 6 million, right? In a world population well over 7 billion. And so how do you reach that end user? If we're selling to hospitals and if you had a PICC line and you were given one of our PICC line covers by the hospital, then you might say, oh, I really want to get another one of these. I want a different color. I want a different design. We've been really fortunate to partner with brands like Major League Baseball, so you can wear your favorite team on your sleeve and really trying to make it more fun and exciting. And so being on the B2B side definitely helps there. But on the direct-to-consumer side, that's helping the B2B side too, because if you have one of our PICC line covers, and let's say I'm from Baltimore, so let's say that you're wearing an Orioles PICC line cover, and you go into Johns Hopkins, then the nurses will see it and be like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. We need to bring this into the hospital as well. And so I see that flywheel kind of continuing to drive awareness for us on both sides of the wheel. And I think as we continue to grow our products, it's something that we're always thinking about is who is the end user for this and who is the buyer, and are they the same or different? And can we leverage both sides of that flywheel for each and every product? But I think both channels continue to be super important. And I think growing a D2C business is very, very important to us. Again, being from Baltimore, I kind of liken us to how Under Armour is when you think about having both for them, it's like a wholesale and a direct-to-consumer piece, but it's definitely something that we're really focused on.
Great. Are there sort of natural breakpoints from a volume perspective, where all of a sudden, sort of your margin will go up, which will improve your ability to market, as you reach critical mass? Sort of, is there a tipping point for that?
Yeah, we traditionally kind of set those relationships with factories pretty early on. So we kind of lock in pricing for different different tiers and different amounts. And obviously, when we start, we're normally investing in the product and not as high of a margin as you might need to keep the business going. But we kind of set those out with the factories from the get-go that, hey, once we come to you with orders of this magnitude, this is what the new pricing will be, et cetera. I think from a consumer side, it's really important to me that we don't start out at an incredibly high price, right? So we're basically just eating it, normally investing in products in the early stages, and then over time, we hope that can allow us to build the margin that enables us to reinvest in the business.
Have you been getting most testimonials spontaneously, or do you sort of also do outreach to try to get cool testimonials from the patients?
Yeah, it's a great marketing question. It's something that honestly we can probably do a little better with, but we historically have, because in the early days you're looking at the head of marketing. I like to joke I used to be the CEO, mailroom attendant, and janitor. All in one. But I think as we've grown our team, we've been able to do kind of more fun ways to get feedback and all that. And after every purchase on our website, we send you a survey that we hope that you'll fill out, because we're always looking to improve. I think when I think about our products and what we're bringing to market, I like to let everyone know that we have no such thing as a final version. When you think about Gmail, for example, for 5 years, they had beta underneath their logo, right? And that was super important to them. Even though they were servicing hundreds of millions of people with email, they were still saying to the world that, hey, this is not a final product. We need to improve it. And that's how we look at each and every one of our products, is there's no such thing as a final version. It's something that we're always looking to improve and always looking to make better. And so to the extent that any of our customers or friends or family or caregivers or what have you have thoughts or feedback, we're always looking to get that.
Are there any sort of marketing channels that you're particularly excited about, or sort of more recent relationships with things, shiny objects you tried and were pleasantly surprised that it worked?
Yeah, I mean, we're adding new channels daily. So every day, my answer is that new channel is amazing and they're a great partner. We've been really fortunate to work with a lot of people. So we sell, as I mentioned, we sell to hospitals. We sell through distributors. A lot of the world's leading distributors we have relationships with. We're selling on our own website. We're on eBay, Etsy, Amazon, all the usual players. We're in discussions with a few retailers about thinking about retail. And we are in gift shops. We're in cancer-specific websites. We're able to be found through a lot of avenues. And at the end of the day, our goal is whatever allows us to help even more people is what is going to drive our decision-making from a channel perspective. So to me, Amazon is just as important as eBay, is just as important as randomjoesgifts.com or something like that, right? Like for us, it's how do we get to the end consumer and how do we help them through whatever they're going through? And that's what we care the most about.
Right. I know that in addition to, putting probably an inordinate number of hours into care and wear, you're also an instructor at the Parsons Entrepreneur Academy. So I'd love to hear how that happened and sort of where that fits into your life.
Yeah, totally. I have a real problem with saying no. And so when they asked, I said absolutely. But no, we were really fortunate a few years ago to actually participate in a class at Parsons School of Design. And there we had 10 amazing students, worked with 9 different hospital systems, worked with amazing amount of patience, and then even had Donna, Karen, and Kay Younger involved in designing a patient gown. And we had incredible leadership from 2 fashion designers, and it was just an incredible experience. And so when COVID hit and Parsons said, hey, we really are getting hit by a lot of our alumni, a lot of our students just trying to learn more about building a company and coming up with a product and then being able to do something with that, and how do we create a product, how do we create a company from that product, et cetera. Your name has come up a number of times. Would you be willing to teach this? And I was like, hey, if you can figure out a way to record me, more than happy to do it, and more than happy to do live sessions, et cetera. And so we're in our second semester now, and it's been an incredible experience. I learned just as much from the students as they claim to learn from me. And it's just a fun way to give back and to help inspire others. I know when I started Carenware, I was really fortunate to have people like you and other entrepreneurs provide their perspective and help and guidance. And for me to be able to do that to help others is awesome. And yeah, I mean, to your point, how does it fit in? Selfishly, it's A, spreading the gospel and word of what Carenware is doing, but then B, it's allowing me to see if there's people that make sense to collaborate with or work with or potentially even hire long-term. Actually, fun little side story. One of the students from that Parsons class back in the day is now a member of our product team full-time at Carenware. And I used to tell people that we were designing with Parsons not only to create a great product, but to create the next generation of designers, because with our collaboration with Parsons, 10% of the profit of the sale of gowns actually goes to Parsons to create a scholarship focused on innovation and design in healthcare. And so great. It's finding unique ways to give back in the community, and that strategically helps build Carenware as well.
Great, great. Well, I certainly appreciate you sharing the story. That last part in particular was inspiring, because it was sort of killing multiple birds with one stone, and really sort of spreading the love.
Yeah.
So I look forward to continuing to follow your journey and I hope the next time, hopefully I don't have to wear a hospital gown anytime soon, but if I do, I'll hope that the hospital gives me one of yours.
Yeah, no, it's a weird company where you wish that people don't necessarily need your products, but
right.
we're happy to help however we can, and really inspired to continue to build even more great products to help even more people.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.